One man walked toward a church carrying a hammer and a single sheet of paper. He wasn't a king. He wasn't a general. He wasn't trying to start a revolution. Yet within a few years, Europe would be divided, kingdoms would go to war, millions would change the way they worshipped God, and Christianity would never be the same again. In the early 16th century, Europe appeared united under one Christian church. Magnificent cathedrals rose above every major city, monasteries preserved knowledge, and the Pope held enormous spiritual influence across the continent. Yet, beneath this appearance of unity, dissatisfaction was growing. Many believers questioned corruption among church leaders, the selling of indulgences, and practices that seemed increasingly distant from the teachings of Scripture. Few imagined that one quiet university professor would become the catalyst for one of history's greatest religious transformations. Martin Luther was born in 1483 inches, the small German town of Eisleben. His father dreamed that his son would become a successful lawyer, providing honor and security for the family. Luther obediently studied law until one terrifying summer afternoon changed the course of his life forever. While traveling through the countryside, he was caught in a violent thunderstorm. Lightning struck dangerously close, throwing him to the ground. Believing death was only moments away, he cried out to Saint Anne, promising that if his life was spared, he would become a monk. He survived, and despite his father's disappointment, he kept his promise. Life inside the monastery was far more demanding than Luther had imagined. He fasted, prayed for hours, confessed every possible sin, and searched desperately for peace with God. Yet no matter how hard he tried, he never felt worthy enough. The more he studied the Bible, especially the writings of the Apostle Paul, the more convinced he became that salvation was not something earned through human effort, but received through faith in God's grace. Around this time, a Dominican friar named Johann Tetzel traveled through German towns, raising money for the construction of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. He promoted indulgences that many ordinary people believed could reduce punishment for sins. Luther became deeply troubled by what he saw. Convinced that Christians deserved an honest discussion about these practices, he carefully wrote 95 arguments for academic debate. On the 31st of October 1517, Luther walked to the castle church in Wittenberg and posted his 95 theses on its wooden door. At the time, posting academic notices on church doors was a common university practice. Luther expected scholarly discussion, not revolution. But Europe had recently discovered a new invention that would change everything: Johannes Gutenberg's printing press. Within weeks, copies of Luther's writings spread across Germany. Within months, they had reached nearly every corner of Europe. Church authorities demanded that Luther withdraw his teachings. Instead, he continued writing books that questioned long-established traditions and called for reform according to Scripture. His ideas spread faster than anyone could control. Eventually, he was summoned before the Imperial Diet at Worms in 1521, where the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V and leading church officials ordered him to recant. Standing before the most powerful men in Europe, Luther faced an impossible choice. If he withdrew his writings, he would preserve his life. If he refused, he risked execution for heresy. After requesting one night to think, he returned the following day and declared that unless he was convinced by Scripture or clear reason, he could not deny what he believed to be true. According to tradition, he concluded with the famous words, "Here I stand, I can do no other, God help me." Declared an outlaw, Luther escaped only because Frederick the Wise secretly arranged for his protection. Hidden inside Wartburg Castle, he spent months translating the New Testament into German. For the first time, ordinary people across Germany could read the Scriptures in their own language rather than relying solely on Latin. His translation not only influenced Christianity, but also helped shape the modern German language itself. The years that followed transformed Europe forever. New Protestant churches emerged across many kingdoms, religious wars erupted, political alliances shifted. The Catholic Church responded through the Counter-Reformation, renewing education, missionary work, and internal reform. Whether admired or criticized, Martin Luther's actions permanently changed Christian history. Today, historians continue to debate his legacy. Some remember him as a courageous reformer, others emphasize the divisions that followed. Yet, nearly everyone agrees on one point. Few individuals have altered the course of Christianity as profoundly as the monk who simply wanted to discuss 95 ideas. History often remembers emperors and conquerors, yet sometimes the greatest revolutions begin not with armies, but with a single sheet of paper nailed to a wooden door. More than 5 centuries later, the echo of Martin Luther's hammer can still be heard throughout the Christian world.